They virtually want to make effective industrial action impossible in this country. And I think that's a threat to human rights, and it's a threat to our democracy. Because the trade unions are a mass movement of ordinary men and women that are one of the most democratic institutions that we have. And they are the foundations for things like the health service, for the education service, and the other services that we've got, which are all thought for through the trade union movement, and those policies started with the trade unions. And what the Tory government seems to want to do is suppress workers so that we live in a low-wage, low-conditions economy, so that profiteering can be maximised and people at the top of the economy can become ever wealthier. And those are the people, of course, that support Grant Shapps' party. And they are the people, the 160,000 select people that will be deciding who the next Prime Minister is. So I don't know how that's democratic, and I don't know which is the dinosaur. The people in the archetypal Surrey Golf Club that will be voting for the next Tory leader, or the trade unions that are made up of men and women around this country that are fighting for their rights and fighting for a decent deal from corporate Britain.
Grant Shapps, the first thing he had to say was that he was annoyed that the pay offer that had been made, he said 8% over 2 years, hadn't even been put to your members. Is that true?
Well, that's only one part of the deal. It's Network Rail, and the other half is the train operating companies, where we've had no offer at all. We put the proposals from Network Rail to a mass meeting of our representatives. We have representatives all over the country. We had 600 members, 600 reps on that meeting, and they told us in a very direct manner that the proposals were not acceptable. 8% over a 3-year period is not acceptable to us. We haven't sorted out the conditions changes and the changes to work-life balance that Network Rail want to bring through. So the offer is not acceptable. It doesn't come anywhere near meeting the stated aims of the dispute, and we can't accept it. So our members are right behind us. They're out taking the strike action today, and in fact people are joining our union. 2,500 people have joined this union since the strike action commenced, so that they can take part in this action, because they're not satisfied with what Grant Shapps and the employers that he controls have come up with. So we have a very direct democratic process in our union, and we're satisfied that that's been gone through, and our members do not want to accept what these companies have put to us.
If I may, we asked people to send in questions that they wanted to ask you, and one says that your members, Mike Lynch, have salaries and benefits beyond the national average. Why should they be cotton-wooled from efficiencies and job losses when every other sector has had to grapple with that in an economic downturn? Perhaps Mike Lynch could tell less well-paid nurses, police and firefighters why he's stopping them getting to work to look after his members should they need help.
Well, it's simply not true. These people behind me are catering workers, they're station workers, they're people that work on board trains, and their salaries are very modest. There are people working behind me here who are on 23,000 a year. There are others on 28, there are others on 31. I think people always quote train drivers' salaries. They're a small part of the railway industry. They're a minority grade, in fact, and they're paid quite well. But of course, Andrew Haynes, the person that's responsible for this company, Network Rail, is on £600,000 a year. And all of his directors are raking it in, and they earn millions over a period of a few years, and they're very highly paid. The companies that we work for, the private train operating companies and so forth, took £500 million worth of profit out of this industry last year. And we deal with modernisation, reforms, flexibility, new technology all of the time, and we'll reach an agreement with the companies on that as soon as we can. And in fact, we implement change every day of the week in all of the transport operators that we deal with.
Right.
Because we're not still riding around on Stephenson's rocket. We haven't got steam trains. We've got high-powered electric trains. We've got new technology, and we've got digital signalling systems that we deal with every day.
Well, absolutely. On that point, again, Grant Shapps says, you know, he picked out a couple of examples on modernisation or lack of. He says it's ridiculous that they can't walk between two stations because they're in two different geographical areas. He talks about paper timesheets still in existence in some places. Are both of those examples true? And can you see a way around them?
Well, they're just nonsense. I mean, they're looking to save £600 million. And if they think the walking distance between Euston and the next station is some kind of solution to that, it's a load of nonsense. Our members work across boundaries. They work flexibly. They work overlapping skills, and they've got multi-disciplines, and we're working with the companies to change the rules that they implement so that they can get a more flexible workforce. And that deal is available to the companies right now if they come to terms with their staff's agenda, which we represent. What they want to do on the train operating companies is close every booking office so that people who have disabilities, people that need assistance on buying tickets or boarding trains will not have access to staff. They want to simply cut costs to the bone. They want to make thousands of people redundant, and they don't want to pay the remainder of people a proper wage for the efforts they put in, which, let's not forget, is a 24/7 round-the-clock railway in all weathers and all days of the week and round the system. So we need our members to be properly rewarded, and we will work on a modern system that delivers the flexibility that the railway needs, but we need to do that through the structure of an agreement, not by imposition.
I just want to ask you a bit about how the kind of two sides here. You know, you have the government, perhaps the rail delivery group on one side, you have unions and yourself on the other. Grant Shapps says that he feels frustrated. He's going to bring in minimum service levels in event of a strike. It's going to be legislated on this year or next. He said that, you know, you are dinosaurs, extreme left-wing militants, you're nostalgic for the days of union power. It seems that, I mean, I'm stating the obvious here, you're so far apart that what is going to bring the two sides together?
Well, he can call me a left-wing militant if he wants. I'm not even a member of a political party in this country, so I don't know where he gets that from, and my union's not affiliated to a political party. We've got an agenda in this dispute which is about jobs, job security, the conditions of a service that our members work under, the wages that they get paid, and the pension that they receive and that they contribute to, which the companies are saying is going to be diluted and they're going to have to pay more for. So this is a straightforward industrial dispute about the rewards our members get for the work they do. We can settle that as quickly as we can. Grant Shapps holds the key to that. But what he seems to be doing is introducing politics into this dispute. He's saying that he's going to change the legislation, he's going to make it less easy for trade unions to have effective industrial action. And in fact, I think Liz Truss and Rishi Sunak are agreed that they virtually want to make effective industrial action impossible in this country. And I think that's a threat to human rights, and it's a threat to our democracy. Because the trade unions are a mass movement of ordinary men and women. They're one of the most democratic institutions that we have, and they are the foundations for things like the health service, for the education service, and the other services that we've got, which are all thought for through the trade union movement, and those policies started with the trade unions. And what the Tory government seems to want to do is suppress workers so that we live in a low-wage, low-conditions economy, so that profiteering can be maximised, and people at the top of the economy can become ever wealthier. And those are the people, of course, that support Grant Shapps' party. And they are the people, the 160,000 select people that will be deciding who the next Prime Minister is. So I don't know how that's democratic, and I don't know which is the dinosaur. The people in the archetypal Surrey Golf Club that will be voting for the next Tory leader, or the trade unions that are made up of men and women around this country that are fighting for their rights and fighting for a decent deal from corporate Britain.
Okay.